Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the Old School Game Snob, and today I am playing around with a Firewall slash Frozen Orb patch 2.4 build, and that is because the delays have been removed from Firewall and Frozen Orb. Basically, your Frozen Orb is, of course, your you know what? Both of these damage sources are probably about your primary. They're both good. They're both good. They're both not the most powerful, but for a dual spec build, I mean, they're very good, right? And here's the neat thing with patch 2.4, if this actually makes it to the live realm. There used to be a delay. You would cast Fireball and then, Frozen Orb, and then you couldn't, use your Fireball until there was a timer delay, right? So now you can basically do do both at the same time. So I've been featuring some builds lately, which kind of show this off, kind of exhibit this thing, and that was a little bit of a deterrent before when you wanted to maybe dual spec into Firewall and Frozen Orb. And the reason that this build is cool is because basically you can pretty close to max out your Frozen Orb. You can pretty close to max out your Firewall. You can definitely get them up as high as they need to be super perfectly viable, and yeah, basically able to deal with any situation, any sort of immunities. Well, unless you get a dual immunity like fire and cold. Well, then I take it back. It doesn't apply to that, but hey. Let's take a look at this build. But you can see how fast that Firewall melt. Oh, that's a champion. Okay, well, of course we have a champion to make me look bad when I throw down a Firewall. But this Firewall is powerful. 18,000 to 18,000 damage. Frozen Orb, 600-ish damage. For gear, I haven't perfected this or anything, and this is Hero Editor gear, so this is the perfect example of everything. Shooter's Temper, this is because you get a bonus to cold skill. No, this is wrong. This is the wrong one. That's okay. Actually, I guess there is a bit of a mismatch here in terms of which is your better orb. You have Death's Fathom, which will give you the cold skill damage, and then you have a Shooter's Temper, which will give you the fire skill damage. So which of these two do you prefer? Do you want more fire damage? Do you want more cold damage? It's kind of up to you which one of those two you prefer. From there, Ormus Robes gives you more cold damage, also gives you more fire damage, so you can't go wrong with Ormus Robes. Just some Frostbone Gauntlets. I haven't really tweaked this around. Basically, the main things are to buff up fire skill, cold skill damage, and then do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, doesn't really matter. There's a lot of good options in there, lots of good tweaking potential. But let's kill a few more cows here, because like I say, we got a powerful orb, we've got a powerful Firewall, right? That Firewall is good stuff. Good stuff. It can slow things down with the orb, which is nice, and then immediately put that Firewall, immediately put that Firewall down, so they spend a little bit more time in the flame. You have a little bit of an easier time hurting things around also, right, when they walk slow. So there's actually quite a nice synergy here, right? Slow stuff down, put that Firewall down, and things get like much more burn damage, right? Like I say, also good for dealing with dual immunities, but a nice synergy actually between this fire and ice. So yeah, it's actually pretty fun. To play. I like this double cast combo stuff. It's fun. It's probably too overpowered, like it probably really is, but it's fun, and I would be okay with it. I would be okay with it if this makes it through to the live game, because it's fun. It's just fun. We've all played the game the same way for 20 years, and it's fun to mix it up and get some interesting things to play around with. I mean, of course, this is a bit of a slippery slope. You got to be careful about going too far with this sort of thing, but yeah, I mean, it makes for some interesting new combos. And if you're an old Diablo player and you've played a lot of combos, well, what you're looking for oftentimes is something a little different, something a little new, something kind of fun, right? All right, let's head on over to where are we going to go to? We're going to go to hell. We're going to make our way casually to hell to deal with some hell creatures. The River of Flame. Oh yeah, not the River of Styx, it's the River of Flame. You can't pay 2 coins for the boatman to ferry you across this one, because you would get burned up. That's the problem with a River of Flame. Burns things, burns wooden things, boats in particular. But yeah, you guys can see how fast Firewall melts targets. And yeah, like I say, oops. This character does have a bit of a squishiness issue, right? Like, she's all offensive, not much on the defense. So she has a bit of a squishiness issue. No energy shield, but no, this is a cool build. I like this build. I've always had an issue with how Firewall targets. You know, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get creatures to die in your Firewall because they don't want to die. They want to run around your Firewall where your Firewall rather, where your Firewall isn't. So putting down that frozen orb is a nice way to slow them down, make them just sit around in the flame. This is probably actually not the best location because there's a lot of fire immune, like mostly fire immune stuff here. So not that Frozen Orb doesn't do its job, like it actually does its job pretty well. Like if you're just relying on your one element, Frozen Orb does its job well. Not as good as Blizzard, not as fast as Blizzard, not as fast as the Nova build that we looked at as well. But good, not bad, not too terrible. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go to Worldstone Keep. But let's show you the build, 20 in the Frozen Orb. Sorry for those of you who've been waiting for the build. It's kind of obvious, 20 in the Frozen Orb. I've kind of maxed out Cold Mastery, probably overkill on that, probably don't need all those points into Cold Mastery. 1 to Teleport, 20 to Warmth, which is cool. We've also got 20 to Firewall and 20 to Fire Mastery. Now, with all of that warmth, it almost makes me want to get a bit of energy shield action going on, right? And you could get away with that. You could put a lot less into Cold Mastery and then get a decent energy shield, maybe like a single point into energy shield, the rest into telekinesis, and you'd have a decent energy shield. You wouldn't lose much damage. But like I say, that orb actually does quite a nice job, and I think that is in a certain part due to, like, it does feel a little more powerful than it usually feels, and I think that's in part due to the overkill points into Cold Mastery. And yeah, like I say, a little bit on the squishy side. Don't even have all my resistances up here. A little bit on the squishy side, but that's okay. Sorceress is supposed to run around and not get hit. That's the whole thing. Sometimes. Yeah, well. Anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed this video. Just a quick look at, like I say, some of the interesting new metas that are potentially coming into PTR 2.4, or into the live game and currently in PTR 2.4. And yeah, you know I like the Sorceress, so I like to experiment around and see what options are there, what interesting options. See you in the next video. All right.